Ladies and gentlemen, as we navigate the ever-evolving world of retail, one thing remains constant: the need for innovative strategies to fuel growth and stay ahead in an increasingly competitive landscape. Our next panel discussion, Strategies for Retail Growth, What Drives Success in Today's Competitive Environment, will delve into the key factors that are shaping the future of retail. Our esteemed panelists, each a leader in their own right, will share their insights on how to adapt, innovate, and thrive in a rapidly changing market. From harnessing new technologies to understanding shifting consumer behaviors, this session promises to be a compelling conversation on what it takes to succeed in today's retail ecosystem. Moderating this insightful discussion is the distinguished Mr. Bijou Kurien, Chairman of the Retailers Association of India. And joining him are some of the brightest minds in the retail industry, each offering the unique perspectives and experience. Ladies and gentlemen, firstly, please join me in welcoming the moderator of the session, Mr. Bijou Kurien, on stage. Ladies and gentlemen, nextly, please welcome Mr. Deepak Aswani, our panel member, Managing Director of Aswani Lachmandas Group. Welcome, sirs. Welcome, sirs. Nextly, ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Mr. Peter Paul, Chairman of Pitapillil Agencies. Let me quickly introduce Mr. Peter Paul, ladies and gentlemen, as the Chairman of Pitapillil Agencies. He is a visionary leader and of course Chairman of Pitapillil Agencies, Kerala's largest and most trusted retail chain for home appliances and electronics. With over 35 years of experience, he has overseen company's growth into a household name with 81 stores across 65 towns, offering a wide range of electronics and home essentials. Under his leadership, Pitapillil Agencies continues to innovate, offering online and offline experience to customers, delivering convenience along with quality products from top brands. We welcome you, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, nextly let's welcome Mr. VKC Rasak, Managing Director of VKC Group. With a round of applause, let's welcome him. Mr. VKC Rasak is the Managing Director of VKC Group, a leading Indian footwear manufacturer with 24 factories across India and additional units in Sri Lanka, Sudan, and Bangladesh. He joined the family business in 1992, driving production growth and launching innovative projects that established VKC as India's largest manufacturer of PU footwear. Under his leadership, VKC has successfully repositioned its brands, introduced several new lines, and received prestigious awards, including the iconic Brand of India and the Most Promising Business Leaders of Asia Award. In addition to his business success, Mr. Rasak is active in industry advocacy, serving as chairman of All India MSME Footwear Sector Action Council, is also committed to social causes and charitable activities in Kerala. Once again, we welcome all our panel members, and may I request our moderator of the session, Mr. Bijou Kurien, to kindly take over. Thank you.
Thank you, and a very good morning to all you ladies and gentlemen. It certainly is my pleasure to be able to moderate this panel. We have industry veterans here, veterans from different industry domains, from different businesses. Deepak, for example, is both retail and distribution. We have manufacturing, distribution, retail in the form of Mr. Razak. We have retail in the form of Mr. Peter Paul. So you should expect different kinds of perspectives. And I'd like to borrow a phrase that Mr. Kamath used, which was about adapt, innovate, and collaborate. And I'd like that because of the simple reason is that a lot of us actually, when we are in retail or in any business, we tend to look inwards and we don't look out. And when we look out, we realize that there is a lot of change. And when there is change, there is a need for us to be able to adapt to that change, which is the first of the words that he used. The second is that when we see that there are things that are happening which we are not doing, we are under pressure to be able to do things differently, which is innovate. And then, of course, as Kumar mentioned in the morning, it is a learning experience. So there is only that much that we know, and there is a lot that we don't know, and we don't know what we don't know. So because of which there is a need to speak to several people to be able to understand what is it that we need to learn and do more. One of the thoughts that has been in my mind, and over time I've seen it in the retail industry, is that I use one word which is called hybridize. So when you use the word hybridize, it means that you're doing a combination of things. So when you do one thing by itself is separate, but when you do two together, then it is called hybrid. So when you think of hybridize, and one of the points that I had mentioned in the morning was about the fact that we no longer are in a physical retail world. We are today in both physical and digital. We no longer are in a physical, advertising world. We are both in physical and in digital. We no longer are in a physical entertainment world. We don't just go to a cinema to watch movies, but we also get movies to come to our homes. We no longer are in a physical food services world. We don't eat only at home or eat in a restaurant, but we also order in. So there are several ways in which our behaviors have actually changed over time. And that concept of changing behavior, adopting different technologies, is what I'd like to capture under one, which is hybridize. The second, which is what also Deepak mentioned, was about deeper customer engagement. And one of the things that customers are discovering, and we're all discovering, is that India is not just one segment. So even if you look at India, there is Bihar or UP, which has got about $800 per annum as average per capita income. We have India, which is at about $2,700 average per capita income. We have Tamil Nadu, which is at about $3,900, or Karnataka or Kerala, $2,600 as average per capita income. Then we have Delhi, which is at about $4,200, and we have Goa and Sikkim, which is closer to $5,000. So obviously, when we sell to the average customer in Bihar, who's earning $800, versus when we sell to the average customer in Goa, who's earning 6 times that amount as average per capita income, the kind of products that we sell, the places that we sell, the prices at which we sell, all that has to be different. So there is a second need, which is what you call as how do we create a customized assortment, or what I might refer to as a second H, which is humanize. The third part of it is in terms of actually trying to understand how do people buy. And we have traditional ways in which people bought, but now we are realizing that people are buying things very differently. So what they buy, as I mentioned earlier, does not change, but how they buy is different. Earlier, people were comfortable buying fruits and vegetables from a footpath vendor, either spread on the ground on a pavement or on a pushcart which comes to their homes, or you would go to the local grocery store to buy fruits and vegetables. Then when modern retail came in, you started going into supermarkets and chains, as we call them, at one stage. Now we are quite happy buying from those who deliver to our homes. And now more importantly, we are also buying at the time that we need. So why has this new form of quick commerce come in? It's come in because as consumers, we are also changing. if you looked at maybe 2 generations back, you would discover that people used to buy grocery for a month. And then during the course of the month, whatever they ran out, they would go and buy what you call as top-up grocery. And at the end of the month, they'll go to the local Kirana store and settle all the bills for the top-up grocery and again buy for the next month. When the frequency of buying started reducing and people started buying every week or every 10 days, depending on how the supply chain demands came up. Now what is happening is that people are walking into the kitchen, deciding what they want to make in the morning or in the afternoon, deciding whether they want to order in or they want to cook at home, and then deciding on what they want to cook at home. They're quite happy actually going to a Zepto Blinkit and ordering the items that they require. So you can see that behaviors are changed, and because behaviors are changed, the way companies have adapted to these changing behaviors have also become very different. So we have here, before I go on into my long speech, we have a lot of industry veterans here who've actually been working for 30, 40, 50 years. I think Deepak, your group is now close to 75 years, no? So, they've all been at the forefront of distribution at one point of time, retail as the consumption story in Kerala unfolded. And they've all looked at different aspects of where, they could see an opportunity. So let me kind of ask them to reflect on their experience in terms of how they have seen changes. So may I start with the chairman of the Kerala chapter of the Retailers Association, Deepak. And if I were to pose a question to you, in your own group, you started with distribution, and then you progress from distribution to retail. And now in retail, you're progressing even further with many more things. So if you were to just reflect on why did you enter retail, one, and secondly, what are the changes that you're making in retail today? That would be helpful to a lot of the audience here.
A little bit of history before I get into the actual answer. My father was a victim of partition. So when he came into India, we had virtually nothing. And fortunately, we, in good old days, his first business started off in Wayanad, which was, we had dinosaur-sized mosquitoes in the 50s. We were distributors for the then Imperial Tobacco Company. And he used to work off a van, it was actually a bus converted into a van. The first vans for distribution came in only in the, I think, 69 when Bajaj Tempo came with a proper van. So he used to live off the van, sell products, go across the entire markets of Chundale and Mepadi and other places. Of course, they're all in the limelight for the wrong reason right now. And the Britishers who were handling Imperial Tobacco were very impressed with his performance. We got Trivandrum and then later on Cochin. So we settled in Cochin in 1964. Before that, we were in Trivandrum and Wayanad. So essentially, the ITC business was basically one of the most prominent business. To get that business was a big thing because it was a total cash and carry business. And why cash and carry is, when you sell cigarettes, the very next minute, they're the fastest moving products in the consumer segment. The very next minute, they go up into smoke. So if you don't get your cash back immediately, you're sunk. So then there came a time when Golden Tobacco came into the field, and they were talking in terms of, be Indian, buy Indian, because Imperial Tobacco was considered as a British company, and that is how Imperial Tobacco became ITC with the stops, then ITC without the stops, and today now it's one of the second largest FMCG company in the country. So we are doing all the products of ITC, that is be it the tobacco or the foods or the perfumes and so on. And I think ITC has got a plan ready to get into many more industries. So the key thing there was because we had a connection with the trade. Because in cigarettes, what happens is every morning, if you don't supply the product, the retailer could not sell any other product because the person buying a cigarette would also buy a banana or a lime juice or a comb or pen or something of the sort. So business could not be started for a retailer. And in those days, retailers used to open very early in the morning at 5 in the morning and go on till late in the night. So they used to be the only convenience stores that were available at that particular moment of time. So when Golden Tobacco came and then created a big furor about be Indian, buy Indian, ITC came down on business. Then we realized we need to expand into something else. And the next business that we got into was textiles because that was the retail in textiles was the next cash business. So what we discovered at that particular moment of time in Kerala, clothing was not a very prominent product because if you go back into the 50s, 60s, people used to wear only one ottamund and probably an angavastram to cover the shoulder. And women used to wear only a blouse and mund. Then again that piece of cloth to just cover their thing whenever they went out. If you remember in Kerala, there used to be even a breast tax for wearing blouses. So from that time to currently now, Kerala is the hottest fashion spot in the country or probably outside the world because our women and the men adapt to fashion faster than anybody else. The reason for that is, again, because every family has got somebody abroad. People are traveling every now and then to almost every part of the world. Like they always say, there is a Malayali even on the moon, and he's definitely selling tea out there. So we don't have to send tea up to the moon now. So cash business was the key thing that we got into retail for. And so we started with DCM because DCM taught us how to do accounts in business. They were the first people into computers, DCM data products. And the entire accounting system, they had a Pakka Baniya system. The largest workforce in DCM was in the accounts department. And then we got into Bombay dyeing. Then Vimal, when good old Dhirubhai Ambani ji was alive, in fact, he has come to our house also. And Anil Ambani has come on his training to Cochin also. So then in 86, we got into Raymond's because we found that that is the brand which is going to sustain itself. And this year, I think Raymond's is celebrating its 100th year. We have 6 stores now, and we have the largest store in the country. The Raymond store at MG Road, Kochi, is a 22,000 square feet shop, is the largest single brand store in the country. So we've grown with these companies, and basically the model of the story has been, is if customer service is there, everything follows. And service is in different forms. You've got to adapt yourself from what you were. In Raymond's also what has happened is from the traditional selling of pulling a than and cutting cloth and giving it to them, now we've moved on to made to measure, where we give factory made garments at the store. We also have new techniques like magic mirrors and things like that, where you stand in front of that mirror and you select a piece of cloth and it comes in different forms like a shirt or a pant or a bandi or a suit, 2-button suit, 3-button suit, bangala, everything. So we are quite ahead in that particular field of retailing. And the other key thing is in retail, if you are not conscious of your data analytics, for which again you read a lot of computer inputs and things like that, you are lost because your inventory can overrun you in no time. Because it's very easy to go on buying, but to sell, selling in takes place. Selling out is a much more difficult job. And in between that, you're stuck with inventory. I think that should be enough.
Sure. Thanks, Deepak. So I think 2 main points is that you can see from Deepak's journey that he has actually evolved from distribution to retail, which is itself quite an evolution because many people just stay stuck in distribution. And the second is that he's also described incidents in his business where they've looked at being able to use technology to customize, both in terms of what the customer would like, plus also they use technology to be able to track what is happening in their business, which is today a very, very critical element. If I were to go to Mr. Peter Paul, and I think electronics retail is one of the most competitive spaces in the domestic market. Having seen it at close quarters in Reliance Retail, I can tell you that one, it is low margin. Secondly, it is highly competitive because there is no differentiation between your model of Samsung television and another retailer's model of the same. The third part of it is that in terms of the relationship with the customer, it starts when the customer comes and buys. And that relationship stays for the lifetime of either the customer or the product. And the fourth part of it is that there is rapid changes. And most of the time, you're struggling to make sure that your inventory reflects the rapid changes that are happening in the market. So if I were to ask you to describe your journey, I think it's about 30 years now. And
35 years. No,
35 years. 75 stores?
81.
81 stores. So 81 stores, 35 years, and started from Perumbavoor.
Yeah.
So who would have imagined that a Kerala-wide business would start from a small town called Perumbavoor? So can you just describe your story? But I think more importantly, what the audience would like to take is, how have you changed over time in this process?
Good morning, everyone. See, we started in 1990 at Perumbavoor. Prior to that, I was working in Aramco for 10 years as an NRI. Prior to that, I worked 4 years in Titan, after my engineering. So when I was working Aramco, 10 years work, fancy job, senior position, I thought enough is enough. My family is there. I thought I would bring my family here and have my children, live with my parents, and have a peaceful life for the rest of life. I thought I had enough money. I bought some plantation, rubber plantation, and I had enough money. So I just wanted to engage myself. I mean, I don't want to sit idle. So I just started a small shop in Perumbavoor with 3 staff, about 500 square feet. And I was a family man, taking my kids to the school and enjoying the trip. In 2-3 years' time, I know the area which I entered is very competitive and very rewarding, because the white good business was in a boom, about 2-digit growth, 20%, 18% growth year after year. So sitting idle doesn't make me good, so I started expanding. In 1994, I started in distribution, because those times retail stores were heavy. So I started in distribution of white goods along with the retail store, 1 or 2 retail stores. I maintained, did retail with many brands like Sansui, Kelvin, Alvin and all. 10, 12 years, I run the distribution of retail in parallel. And I had so many small retailers in rural markets of Kerala, like Idiki and Ernakulam district, Thrissur, Kottayam. So basically, I was focusing on rural Kerala, because I knew, as you rightly said in the morning, Kerala is not a city-based. Every pocket, there is a market. Every pocket is, it may not be that big, but there is a market in every pocket. So in distribution, I was quite successful. Then after 10 years, 12 years, I realized that collecting money is a big change, a big challenge. Maybe for distribution, selling is easy, but if collecting is not that easy. So I decided to slow down that slowly, and I pulled out of distribution completely and started expanding my retail. So from 2000 onwards, I started expansion in a big way. Last 24 years, we have expanded. Till then, we had 2, 3, 4 stores only. The scope of this trade was good, and even now it's good. I mean, I'm sure that next 10 years, if you are rightly placed and right kind of changes you bring into a business, it is good. And every retail business, it is going to be there. Even though, as Aswani sir said, the youth is going out, market is going to be an old age home. Still, every core is there. There is a scope for retailing. There is a scope for consumption, because consumer consumption will not stop till Kerala is wiped out. So there is a scope for growth, or whatever. Who are serious into business can grow. That is what I believe in. Now, second thing which I noticed, or which I planned, is going to the rural market solely make me sustainable. Competing in the main cities and competing with the giants or modern retail like Reliance or Croma or whatever you said, may not be successful. So I started expanding to rural, B class and C class, even smaller towns. I have shops in Panchayat, maybe 20, 30 shops in small Panchayat. So that makes the operating cost is low, availability of space is easier, and sale is also there. Because in Kerala, even in remote Panchayat, there will be somebody working abroad, somebody working abroad. And in Kerala, like festivals like Onam or marriage or many functions are being conducted in houses, like not only in marriage, it's a marriage fixing, there is betrothal and all sort of things are in each community, plus housewarming, then birthdays and functions. So people want to buy something or other, even in rural. So I thought this is going to be an opportunity for the customer, for us as retailers to expand. Plus adding product to the trade, because earlier we were having only 4 or 5 categories, like TV, fridge, washing machine, those, mixie and those. Now adding too many products, because kitchen appliances is a big business now. Small kitchens, new and latest. So we were updating ourselves. We were trying to update ourselves and add product to the portfolio. Whatever the changes happening around the world, because the technology is easy, product availability is easy, multinationals are here in India. So we tried to update and adapt new products, new technology to the business over these years. And even now we are doing the same thing. Omnichannel, when everybody started omnichannel, we were also into the online business. But not in big way, because we are available in online. Those customers who want a convenience to buy from online, it is available from tablet. No, we don't want to compete with Amazon or Flipkart or even Reliance, because competing doesn't make us business sustainable or viable. So we are available. We thought of there is a space for everyone, and we do have that space, and we enjoy that space in business, and we are looking for smaller gaps or pockets where we can enter it. Right now, we hold about 10-11% market share of this trade. So which is good enough for me. I'm not that greedy to grab more. So I mean, if we can manage it, 8 to 10% market share, so good. As the market grows, we will also be growing. So we added about 8 to 10 stores per year, and we find new customer from the new market. Because adding customers is a big problem, it's a challenge. We are the maximum customer retention brand, because we are the first ISO certified company. We try to give maximum service to the customer, because our product does not sell and close the business. Our product is once you sell, you need to keep the customer, service the product until he uses and throws it out or exchange it. So we maintain that kind of highway service to the customer. We provide service providers, or we provide at least a staff for attending the customer's service needs, which many modern retail cannot do that, because the companies are doing the service. We are not servicing it, but we provide a coordinator who collects the call, give it to the company, follow it up, and give it back to the customer. So customer satisfaction point is where we are the most trusted brand in this trade. So we are using that trust and adding more product to the customer, giving more product and more service to the customer, which makes us sustainable and viable and grow. Of course, the challenges are there. As we grow forward, earlier the challenges was only between the trade retailers or retail chains and big and small. Now it is with the modern trade, and even with more than modern trade, it's with online. And the change recently, what we have said, the emerging players are coming with the power play. I would say, like cricket, test 50-50, 20-20. Now the focus is on power play. Even in 2020, the 4 hours of power play makes the difference. So in seasons, power play happens, where nobody is looking for bottom line. Everybody is looking for top line only. Spend money, throw money into the marketing, and try to grab customer. So we need to adapt to the situation as far as our trade is concerned. And of course, we are okay with it so far. Thank you.
Thanks, Peter Paul. I think the important thing here is the adaptation. You know, consumer durables retail used to be a simple business where you kept the things, people came, limited number of models, you sold at full MRP without any discount, and then you didn't have to worry because you enjoyed the full margins. Now with power play, you are actually making sure that you are contributing to the consumer by giving discounts more than your own margins in several times. And also the aspect of service, which at one point of time, the consumer used to be worried about whether I will get service. Today they demand service because the consumer expectations have changed quite dramatically. And I think the more important point is the power of urban and rural retail. In India, we are about 37% urban, and the retail market is about 55% is in the urban market. And while we have 63% of our population living in rural India, about 45% of our retail market is in rural India. So per capita spend might be lower, but it is a sizable market. And when we talk urban and rural, in a state like Kerala, there is very little divide between urban and rural. The urban and rural difference might be sometimes 4-5 kilometers. So it makes no difference. You know, you classify them as rural, but in behavior they're exactly like what any urban customer would be. So I think the larger and more important point is that there are pockets of opportunity, whether it is Mepadi in Wayanad district or whether it is in Panchayats near Perimbavur. There are pockets of potential available which we should capitalize on and not just focus on the larger cities. Let me now go to Mr. Razak, and Mr. Razak is running a second generation business in the footwear industry. VKC, as all of you all know, both with his distinctive advertising and the distinctive logo, has actually managed to create a memorable mark in the minds of consumers who are looking to buy footwear. And like a lot of other Kerala-based retailers, he has had the courage to go outside of Kerala. He's not limited by the state. He said, why should I only be in Kerala, though I'm based here? Why can't I have India as my market? And I think he's a great example of looking outside of the state to be able to realize his business ambition. So Mr. Razak, if you could talk about first the start and then the point at which you decided that two things I wanted you to reflect on. One, the requirement to go outside of Kerala, and the second is to largely stay in the less than 1,000 rupees price point, as opposed to being people like say a Bata and others who are always operating at the greater than 1,000 rupees.
So good morning all of you, and thank you for having given me this opportunity to be a part of this Kerala Retail Summit. So to begin, I think I'm slightly different from both my previous speakers. I am from the second generation, and but I think my hair is more white than those two. So let us, I think, see, my father actually started this business way back in 1984. And that was not his first business basically, but he was in some other business, and in 1983 he stopped that, and 84 he started this business. And while he started, he was just started with Hawaii, raw material for Hawaii slipper, basically Hawaii sheet and straps supplied to various chappal makers. And when he started this business, actually, when he studied the industry, I mean, he's not very educated, but he could get these details from various sources and from his, his experience and other things. There was three major issues with the Hawaii chappals those days. Basically, if you go back, or if you go back to those days, there is two type of Hawaii chappals. One is with a blue color and white top, and a beige color with a white top. And there was a major issue, like after 1 or 2 months, the white color goes and you get to see the base color. So when you go to some functions, what happens is now you feel like, you don't feel like removing your slipper in front of others, where others feel that your slipper is like, so we had a bad feeling in our heart those times. I mean, maybe many of us must have been experienced that feel also. Then other problem was that, okay, normally when you walk, if somebody steps onto your slipper, the straps come out. Then you have to do a lot of work to put it inside back. Then another problem was like, if that stepping is little hard, the button breaks. Then you have to repair it by safety pin, or you have to go and meet some, I think, footwear, like a cobbler to repair it for like immediate usage. And you know that once strap goes, then the day is lost for you, basically. So he found this problem, and he resolved these three issues and placed the product in the market. And he started when there were major players in the industry, and they were very strong and had a very good market share and a very good business those days. So he solved the problem like removing the layer. So he made the product into single layer, wherein you can use the product till you see the earth. I mean, you see the Finally, when you have to throw it off, and once after you seeing the earth. The second one, he made the sole stronger, wherein the strap don't come out very fast, and made strap stronger, and so that the button doesn't break. So in those days, if by any chance if it comes out, it was very difficult to put it inside back because the sole was very hard. So these problem got solved, and in the distribution, actually this particular market was on distribution mode. And he's opted for a different distribution system. I mean, different system in the sense, normally what happens, every new player comes to the market, what they go, they do a market survey, they see who is the major dealer or who is doing the best in that particular market. He mostly opted for the second layer, and where the people were getting sub-distributions from the major ones. So when they got directly a product from a manufacturer, they all felt happy. And we did one more thing, like changing the packaging. Those days there was two type of packaging. One was a grey board box, like there's a grey box, or it was a transparent polythene bag. So he changed to a colored polythene bag. And used a very particular color, is a yellow color, wherein you can see, I mean, if you keep the product, you will see it somehow. It will not miss your eyesight. So that created another plus point, and we could enter into the market, and we could reach out to the customers. And once it reached the customer, and the product actually itself proved to be a good product, and normally it was very good, and they used it for I think months or years, you can say. And our product particularly was focused for the hard-working laborers, like if you masonry, construction work, trolley pulling, all this work. So trolley pulling, if you use a Hawaii chapel and do, most of the time the straps comes out. But in our case, it doesn't come. A masonry or the centering worker, if you put, walk on the cement and the rods, iron rods, that winding wire used to get inside your slipper and your feet get hurt. So all these problems got solved, and it got a very good feedback, and we grew very fast over those times. And actually I joined officially in 92, though I was involved in the business right from my school, college days. Because I used to get some work of writing the accounts and other things. So in 92 I officially joined, and we increased the production rapidly. And afterwards, other family members, my brother, my brother-in-law, cousins, many people joined the business, and every time we introduced new products, which was either first time in Kerala or Malabar region or in South or overall. So this was the tactics, and we all we were adopting a system wherein any new entrant come, it will be a part of our company. He will be a shareholder, he will be a member of the board, and he will have a working benefit also. So this was our system, and we could multiply the number of units, and it went on. And the transformation happened when we started PU, basically, polyurethane. So polyurethane, there was product was not our first, but we introduced it differently in the market. So earlier, the product for PU footwear was supposed to considered as a high-end product, and the price point was for gents footwear, it was around 500 rupees, and ladies footwear, it was around 400 rupees. But we launched it as gents footwear at 250 rupees and ladies footwear at 200 rupees. So how it was possible means we studied the product, and there was some inherent issues with the material, polyurethane material. So we could understand that is a specific polyurethane which get break. I mean, if you recall your olden Liberty shoes days, if you keep the shoe in the shelf, and after 3 months, 4 months, if you clean the shoe, the dust keep on coming. So that means it get disintegrated and it get hydrolyzed, and the product get problem. So we introduced with the that was a polyester system, and we introduced polyether, which doesn't have this hydrolysis. So, and especially in Kerala, the humidity is very high, hydrolysis is very high. So we started in Kerala, and the response was very good. Why it was very good? Those times the next available option was a PVC footwear. It is either PVC foam footwear or inducted PVC footwear, which was sold at 150 rupees for ladies and 225 rupees for gents. Why 225? There was an excise duty barrier of MRP. So all the products were below that, so basically. So while we introduced this product at 50 rupees higher, we could grow much faster in the market, and with 10 years, it was almost a year-on-year growth of 25%. So from 65, we reached within 10 years 1,650 as a group, and the growth was very fast. And earlier, one machine, the PU machine, the production per machine was maximum. The Kerala units were making only 1,000 pairs. And internationally, the machine capacity was told around 5,000 pairs. But the same machine, we are now doing around 10,000 pairs per day. There's no change in the machine, nothing. But we use the entire capacity of that machine and made the product cheaper. So this is the beginning and the situation as of now, you can say. And the second question, what is the India market? See, we started as a Malabar regional brand, as you say. It's a product our Hawaii Chapel was only available in the Malabar districts, like from Palakkad and this side Thrissur up to Kasaragod, and not after that, because those days, Paul is here, the footwear market was like kind of controlled by certain brands in certain area. If you come to Thrissur or that area, it was Lunars. If you come to Kottayam, it was Paragon. If you come to Malabar, it was our brand, and there is Josco Fisher there. So these brands, and it was very difficult for other people to enter into that market those days. So it was strongly held by all the local players, domestic players, that particular place. So when we started Hawaii Chapel, and there are a lot of people from Tamil Nadu used to come for work in Kerala those times. So they buy one pair of product or two pair of product for their family. They started using it here. They found it is very good. When they go back, they carry maybe 6 pairs or 12 pairs to their as a gift for their family members. And something happened similar in Karnataka also. So automatically, without even we knowing, the product got marketed in Tamil Nadu. And there was one such a person who became our dealer in a later stage. He was earlier taking the goods from Calicut and doing some small business. He had a small shop, so he started. Then finally what happened, he started buying in bags. Then finally he came to us. He was one of the biggest dealer also at one point of time. He was selling after that, distributing. So a lot of things happened without even we interfering. But we thought that, okay, there's a quality product and our name got familiar, and once we strong in Kerala, automatically Tamil Nadu, Karnataka. Then the inquiries started coming, and we started to expand to other regions also. So now we have from a regional Malabar brand, we are now a all India brand, not even an all India brand, we have an international brand with exporting to around 18 countries and plans in multiple countries also. So this is our current status.
Thank you. So it's a very, very inspiring story when you think about it, how he started addressing the problem from a customer's perspective, making better product. Second, in terms of innovating on the product itself. Third, in terms of being able to extend distribution beyond the state. Even the initial distribution was not through the tier 1 retailers or distributors, but tier 2. And that is something that we should all learn from, because many a time when we introduce a new product, we end up going and saying that I want to first go to modern retail, let me go to Reliance Retail, let me go to, depending on if it's a food product, you'll say I'd want to go to Heritage, I'd go to Ratnadeep, or, people like that, and you want to introduce it there. But it's a lot more difficult to actually introduce in the smaller multi-brand outlet, which is not the modern retail chains, because they are smaller, it's a little more difficult to reach them. But nevertheless, if you can create a brand there, then you are able to extract much more value out of that relationship than you would take out of maybe a relationship with one of the larger players. So I think that's the other one. Of course, he forgot to mention that Amitabh Bachchan is his brand ambassador. So obviously, he's taken a very famous film personality to be able to popularize the brand. You know, relevance of Amitabh Bachchan in India, in Kerala might be a lot less, but when you go to the north, you know, obviously, you know, he as a brand ambassador is a lot more relevant. So which means that there is a certain vision that he has seen for the business. And like Mr. Peter Paul, not happy with one store, not happy with one region of Kerala, but wants to take the brand across India and across the rest of the world, which actually indicates enterprise and the willingness to take risks, which is also one of the points I was mentioning earlier, stating that in India, in Kerala, there are a lot of retailers who've actually taken the business, adapted the model, as Mr. Kamath said earlier, innovated in those markets, and then managed to take those brands outside. Jewelry is a wonderful example. Every large retailer of jewelry, with the exception of Tanishq, in India today is actually a Kerala-based jeweler. Whether it is Kalyan, whether it is Malabar, whether it is Joy Alucas, all of them are actually Kerala-based. So there is something in the water in Kerala which makes a lot of people want to go out and start and expand their businesses. So I think, you know, wonderful, inspiring stories from all of them, but I don't want to let this opportunity slip for the people who are here. So I would like to throw open this panel discussion to all of the people who are here. And here you get an opportunity from three doyens of the industry to be able to ask them any specific questions, personal or professional. So we have some mics going around, so if whoever wants to ask questions can raise your hand, and then, you know, somebody will come to you with a mic.
Thank you to each of you. It was an inspiring morning. My question is, how safe is power play, and how far can we go safely in power play? Because when it comes to competition, you sometimes somewhere feel whether we are compromising on quality. So just wanted to get an input from all the seniors out there.
Shall I leave it to Mr. Peter Paul, who coined the phrase?
Okay. I mentioned power play because we follow cricket a lot, I mean, most of us. So in cricket, it was test cricket. Some point there was only test cricket. So
see, when you sell televisions, one of the advantages, you can sit in your shop and watch cricket.
Exactly. Anyway, okay. So the reason of power play in retailing, that is what I was trying to mention, because competition or the money power is dominating the market, especially during seasons. But we have to have the both. Is it normally power play, killing the bottom line, doing only top line does not make anybody sustain. So you have to have the both case to case. Where there is a competition, you cannot sit idle and let them take the market share. You will be losing your customer. So you have to be in at least part of the power play, not in the leader maybe, but you have to be a part of the power play. Your marketing, your strategies, your acting should be at least at par or slightly below. You can be slightly below, but not too far. Let the money play go, then we will try. Then you will be out of the market. So you have to be into the business. If you are trying to be into the business and grow, you have to watch the business very carefully and see each competition, what he is doing. And if he's doing a dirty trick or dirty thing, you have to watch that. But don't compromise on quality of your product or your service. You may lose your margin, you may bleed to a certain extent, but if you maintain the quality of product and service, then there will be gaps where we can make margin out of it. If you are out of the power play, you will not get that chance. So during the power play itself, if you hold on to your customer, There are times you can give a new product where nobody is into that. So profit alone is not the business. Customer is the profit. So you need to keep the customer with you. So if you keep the customer in, some point in time you will be able to manage the profit. That's what I believe. Thank you.
Anybody else wants to add to that?
Since the power play came from cricket, if you see the current Indian team or even the Australian team, there is no place for complacency. Because there are people waiting to take your place in no time. See, suddenly you find a player in wilderness because he has not performed in just one match. So typically in retail also what happens is there is a constant flow of competition coming in. So you are stuck between one price because of the competition and like what we said was quality and the service that you're giving. In technical products, the quality is not in your hands. But in other products, it's the way you change yourself to adapt to the customer's needs. So power play is always there. You don't have to wait for the full 20 overs. You have to be on your toes all the time. Because there is people waiting to take your place at any minute of time. And the other thing which I wanted to talk to you all was, see in retail, for all the type of fancy shops and things like we make to attract the customer, there's a huge cost attached to all this. Some of the three basic costs that we have is rent, the salary, and the electricity, which is very high in Kerala. Now these three expenses plus your operating expenses for an air-conditioned shop almost take away almost 20 to 22% of your margin. So you have to be extremely careful because this is always going up year on year. So if your business does not keep pace with that type of speed, then you're in for trouble. And when we talk about analytics also, let us understand one very important concept. When you buy a house or you're buying a building or when you're picking up any form of land, you're going by the square foot. So on that square foot, you have to do your interior decoration. Then based on that interior decoration, you got to fill it up with stocks. Then you need people to sell those stocks. So what happens is, your cost per square foot is going to be a very integral analytic. So in retail, these type of analytics, there are many other key performance indexes, but this is a very important thing that one has to keep in mind as you go along in retail. Otherwise, competition is waiting to bite you at lower overheads. Because the same product can be sold in a smaller shop or a bigger shop. So now for the likes of a Seamarty or a Pothys or a Kalyan and all that, there are smaller shops available with one-man show also who's selling the same product. So his overheads will be lower. So he can kill you from that point of view. So that's about it.
Any other? Yeah, there are two other questions. If you can get the mic across there.
I have one question.
Sorry.
Yeah. So I think it was very lovely listening to each one of you. The examples really connected. Being an 80s kid, very much connected to all the examples what you're given. Today, if you've seen, the old retail is transforming, right? Especially the new age brands, especially started by young kids, I should say, or the corporate dropouts who are getting attracted a lot of VC money with high valuations. Did it ever concern you looking at what's happening in the market, especially the D2C side or the modern, when I say modern, the digital enablement kind of retail solutions and the valuations? Because you've been in the business for 2-3 decades and suddenly someone in less than 5-6 years is commanding an exorbitant value of the company, which has been accepted. So I just want to understand, how are you seeing this trend, especially in your industry?
Shall I answer that question? Because I'm also in this business of private equity. So I think the reality today is that long-term sustainability of a business is very important. So while at one point of time the valuation is based on revenue, today people are actually getting a lot more sensible and saying that unless your business delivers profitability, we will not even give you a valuation. Of course, there will be cases where even loss-making companies get valued, but that value will all depend on what the opportunity is. And I'll give you an example. Say, for example, a Blinkit or a Zepto, which is in quick commerce, is loss-making today, okay? If I were to look at Blinkit, which is a part of Zomato, they have to hit close to 5,000 crores of revenue. Okay, when I say 5,000 crores of revenue, it means that the margin that they earn on the sales, and which means even if they're earning, say, 20% margin, it means 25,000 crores of what you might define as gross merchandise value or GMV has to happen on that for them to even break even. But since they are operating in the grocery market, the belief is that the grocery market is 50% of India's retail market of close to $1 trillion. Hence, the opportunity to be able to shift share from large retailers of grocery and small retailers of grocery to quick commerce, the opportunity is high. And hence, because of that, people are willing to take a bet saying that that model will work out in the long run and I will give you valuation today. But if it's a small market and if you lose money in the course of getting revenue, people won't give you valuation. They'll say, please prove profitability before we can value. So even investors are getting a lot more sensible.
Yeah. Good morning. My name is Sumesh. I run a retail technology company. My question is to Mr. Peter Paul. See, in Kerala especially, we got a feeling that all the bigger retail companies are coming and ruining our smaller retail business, as somebody mentioned. Especially when we are having a big billion day, or people are coming up bombarding with this thing. But interestingly, every other month we are seeing the entire newspaper of Kerala bombarded with electronics guys, like all the other things, 80% and 90% discount. So what does it mean, and whether is it true, or whether are you profitable, or you just want to get into a space where you just want to get customer into your this thing? Just curious to know that, Mr. Bijou.
One thing I want to say, we never advertise in paper for 70% or 50% because people with common sense can think we can sell the product to the scrap vendor at 40%, the company. Then why to sell 70% to the customer with single piece? So, but it's all to attract customer. There could be one or two products or few, 5% or 1% product which can be sold at 70%, like a aged product, displayed product or whatever it is. But the customers, especially Malayalis, I'm sorry to say, Malayalis are tempted with these kind of things. You need the deposit, doubling, if you put 1,000 rupees, it will be double in 1 year. People will throw money. Even we had an example today. Somebody was advertising that product will be sold at 50%, home appliance will be sold at 50% through some non-governmental organization subsidy. And they said, Pitapli is associated. Somebody put that Pitapli will be associating. So a lot of inquiries came to him. And the money, the customer has to deposit the money to this organization. And they promise the customer, we will deliver it in 3 months at 50%. We were not aware. We stopped it and we put an address, we called all the people. Because customers are there. In one day, we put the quotation for 1 crore. Then only I came to know. I said, no, we have no association. We have not given any such thing. So we stopped them. Only quotation, the customer will get the product in 3 months later, by December. In 2 days only, they said, by September 30, you have to book it, take a quotation, and with the quotation, they have to pay money to the agency, at least 50%, 10,000, 20,000, they pay, deposit there, and wait for 2-3 months to get the product at 50%. So in Malayalis or Kerala, sorry to say so, are eager to see where there is something free or where there is something at 50%. So this is there's a tendency to attract customers. That's what I'm saying. I'm seeing no reason. These are different selling models. Many people, all trade partners have his own strategy of selling. So one of my close friend, who is in this kind of, he said, we want to attract customer. Once he is into the shop, he can easily convert. Oh, that stock is out of stock and this is a bad product. So why don't you spend a little more? It's on EMI, so you can buy the branded product. So he find it easy to convert customer once he is into that. So it's a kind of attracting customer. The strategy, whether it's good or bad or not. But the people who are very much thinking, this couldn't be true, so I don't want to. Maybe after testing 1 or 2 times, they will come back. So that's the reason. Maybe we believe that we are still there. We are still sustainable. We are maintaining this tempo without advertising 70% in cap, but still we get our market share. The customer may go to those counters one time, second time they'll feel that it's not true, they may come back to us. So we are patient enough to wait for that customer. Thank you.
Thank you. I know we've run out of time, so unfortunately we won't get a chance to get the next question on, but the gentlemen are around after the session, and you please feel free to speak to them separately about whatever question you had. So thank you very much for sharing so generously of your experience and wisdom, and I'm sure it is a great session for the audience.